say it all, what does?
Individual combative sport that has a worthwhile objective, pinning your opponent's shoulders down to the mat. And it builds character, it asks for sacrifice. I think it's a wonderful builder of young people and to help young people become men.
The difference between being good and being really good, maybe even great, is such an incremental difference of training and dedication and seriousness and believing in oneself.
Wrestling is the oldest sport, as far back as we have recorded history. Roman emperor by the name of Marcus Aurelius, he was a very avid wrestler. William Howard Taft wrestled for Yale.
There's not a tremendous amount of glamour or reward. People who gravitate towards this sport are doing it for very pure reasons.
The first Eastern Intercollegiate Wrestling Association tournament was held a century ago in the University of Pennsylvania's Waitman Hall. Same year as Einstein's special theory of relativity, the Giants beat the A's in the Second World Series, and the first Nickelodeon opened in Pittsburgh. Founding members were Columbia, Yale, Princeton, and Penn. Columbia's wrestling traces back to a dual meet with Yale in 1903, and they've competed in every EIWA tournament since. Lion wrestlers include Nat Pendleton and Jimmy Cagney. 19 Eastern champs, more than 70 place winners, and Sheridan Award recipients Bob Sakavich and Todd Gilmore. Princeton won its third team title in 1978 under wrestling legend and longtime coach Johnny Johnson. 52 Tigers have captured individual Eastern crowns, and 5 reached the national finals, including champion Brad Glass and runner-ups Johnny Orr and Rick Parker.
When I got to wrestle 5 minutes from where I grew up, it was a pretty amazing experience. You have 15,000 fans and wrestling in the semifinals, wrestling a guy from Michigan, Otto Olsen, and ending up winning 12-9. The place was just going crazy.
Yale took the first team trophy, led by George Dole, brother Louis Dole and A.C. Gilbert, who after hanging up his tights went on to invent the erector set. The Bulldogs went on to win 46 individual titles before varsity status was dropped in 1991. Among their outstanding athletes were national champions Andy Fitch and Jim Bennett.
The early 70s, for 2 of the 4 years that I was there, we were in the top 15 in the nation, which at that point in time for an Ivy League school was quite good. Unfortunately, NCL has not changed its opinion on bringing back the sport. We definitely hope that changes. We hope Yale comes back, and perhaps in the 21st century, Yale again will be one of the national powerhouses.
Cornell joined the league in 1908 and has taken 14 team and 110 individual goals, and boasts 6 national champions, including Frank Bertucci, David Hirsch, and 2-time winner Dave Auble. Under coach Rob Cole, national champ Travis Lee and All-American Dustin Minotti may add to the Big Reds' honors again in the coming year.
There was a man named Bill Layton who lived in Ithaca and coached Ithaca High School, who was somewhat of a wrestling genius. Bill was a demon on technique and drilling you. Even today, I have no doubt that I have at least one Bill Layton grooved single leg in me, just only one. You learn a lot about yourself. There's probably no wrestler who hasn't had the experience of doing well in a match, and you're doing well, and then all of a sudden, whoop, and you're looking up at the lights. The first reaction may be this can't be happening to me. Second reaction had better be, yes it is, and it's time to get out of here.
Since joining in 1913, Lehigh has taken a record 31 team and 182 individual titles. Beginning in 1911, grappling legend Billy Sheridan grew wrestling into a Pennsylvania powerhouse, bringing home 25 individual national champs and 41 years of coaching. a tradition that continued with Jerry Lehman, Thad Turner, and current coach Greg Strobel.
Billy Sheridan, as he was ending his coaching career and Jerry Lehman was coming to Lehigh, the wrestlers used to go over and hug him, and it was just an emotional experience.
Among Lehigh's greats are two-time Eastern and Olympic champion Bobby Weaver and three-time national champion Mike Caruso.
He was a personality, even in his undergraduate days. I can remember walking onto the mat at Lehigh and had called a tight one on the edge of the mat, and they booed and yelled and hollered, and Mike Caruso, who was on the mat, came over to me and he said, "Don't worry, Pascal, I'll pull you out of this one." And that was Mike.
Other local legends include 5 two-time national champions, Ed Eichelberger, Mike Frick, Mark Lieberman, Darrell Burley, and the NCAA Outstanding Wrestler in 1934, Ben Bishop.
One of the great traditions of the Easterns is that there is a Most Falls Award. It's named after the great legendary Lehigh coach, Billy Sheridan. Only up until 1975, no Lehigh wrestler had ever won it. Well, my freshman year goal was to bring that trophy home. And the highlight of the tournament was after winning in the finals, I got to go up and receive it from Billy Sheridan's widow, Emily Sheridan.
Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play, hey now.
Penn State joined in 1918 and produced 16 team and 105 individual Eastern champs in all, before departing in 1974. Their Eastern-based 8 national champions include Johnny Johnson and two-time winner Andy Motter.
At that time, the EIWA was very competitive on a national level. Our first 4 wrestlers were 4 of the best in the country.
Harvard joined in 1934 and had their first national champion in 1938 with John Harkness. 2001 saw them win their first team title, fueled by outstanding wrestler David Reekle. Under Coach Jay Weiss, 10 of the Crimson's 14 competitors have taken the top rung since 1996. And this year they're looking for gold with Jesse Jansen.
Call me blind, but I didn't see it coming. And everybody was running, but I couldn't hear nothing except for it was. I know it's because we are the youth of the nation.
Since joining in 1941, Army has produced two-time national champion Mike Natvig, two-time Eastern champ Nick Malden, and single-year Eastern winners Todd Messett, John Ripley, and Maurice Worthy. Desert Storm Commander General Norman Schwarzkopf wrestled for Army as a cadet. The Midshipmen of Navy have captured 13 team and nearly 100 individual titles. Two-time national champ Pete Blair won the first Fletcher Award, established to honor two-time Eastern champ and naval officer John Fletcher. Among their greats are national champ Dan Muethler and three-time Eastern winners Mickey McDonald, Jerry Franzen, Lloyd Keyser, and John Wright.
The most memorable for me was, I guess, winning the first EIWA title as a sophomore. Not knowing, what it would be like, and just having that experience to be recognized as a champion.
Navy wrestling under legendary coach and three-time national champ Ed Peary continues to win under coach Bruce Burnett. The University of Pittsburgh joined the conference in 1954, capturing 27 individual EIWA titles and brought up 11 national champs in their first 10 years, including 3 who entered the Hall of Fame: Ed Perry, his brother Hugh, also a three-time national champ, and retired Penn coach, national champ, and Olympian Larry Lockwood.
My father, who came from Oklahoma, was a three-time national champion himself, and taught my brother and I as youngsters on the living room floor how to wrestle. We started the Pittsburgh wrestling program. His leadership qualities were outstanding. That served as a model for many of us.
Brown's 12 individual champions have come since it rejoined the IWA in 1984, beginning with Bob Hill's back-to-back titles in '87 and '88.
One of the nice things for me was in 1987 wrestling the Eastern Finals against Novogratz from Princeton. It was at Princeton, and it was a pretty vocal crowd against me, but the match worked in my favor, and That was the year that I won the Easterns for the first time and was Brown's first Eastern champion in history. Although I was probably one of the most unpopular wrestlers in the entire arena that evening. But my family, I'm one of 5 children, my parents and my brothers and sisters did a great job cheering me on. They were almost as loud as the entire Princeton contingent, I think.
In '97, under Coach Dave Amato, Willie Carpenter captured the Sheridan and Fletcher Awards, and T-Von Abel was voted the outstanding wrestler. Franklin and Marshall joined the league in 1948 and promptly took a team second, led by champs Robert Schell and Stan Musitas. F&N has had 6 more, including Coach's Trophy winner Brian Nip Brown and Vic Bernardino. 3 years after East Stroudsburg joined, 2-time champ Greg Shoemaker battled Wilkes College rival Brian Billick in the '79 finals to a 13-13 tie, finally winning 8-6 in overtime. ESU's most accomplished wrestler is Jack Kuvo, a 2-time national champ in 1988 and '89. Rutgers joined the league in 1948 and saw Eastern gold in 1950, '51, and '52 with Emil Perona.
Newton High School at the state championship in 1948. I think we had 8 out of 12 state champions. Then to Rutgers and 3 times Eastern Intercollegiate champion. The thing that I remember most is wrestling Donald Rumsfeld. Rummy was a very, very feisty, difficult fellow and a hard guy to beat. And I've contacted him and he claims that the match was a time advantage win by myself, and I keep telling him it was a pin.
I feel very fortunate that I was able to wrestle for all those years.
One of the sharpest blows to Eastern fans was the loss after 73 years of powerhouse Syracuse, home to a string of national champs including Art Baker, Tom Schlendorf, Mark Kerr, and 2-time winners Jim Nance and Gene Mills. The Orangemen took team gold 8 times and had 62 individual titles, including 2-time Eastern champ and renowned referee Pascal Perry. At the University of Pennsylvania from 1914 to 1916, 3-time Eastern champ Mike DeRisis pinned every man he faced in every match. Dick DiBattista achieved another kind of perfection, finishing his career undefeated, 133 wins and no losses.
Austin Bishop was my wrestling coach, and he started from scratch here where they would wrestle 3 meets, freshman, JV, varsity, and not win 1 bout. That by the time he left, we were undefeated during the season. I won the Easterns 3 years in a row in 41, 42, 43, and I won the Nationals in 41 and 42, but they were not held in 43 because of restrictions with the war travel.
In 1996, Coach Roger Reyna's squad captured Penn's first Eastern title, following it up with 3 more in the next 3 years, while setting an all-time team score of 183 in 1997, bringing 8 wrestlers to the finals. In 2000, Brett Motter won his 4th Eastern title, the Coach's Trophy, the Fletcher Award, and the Nationals.
Baby Brett.
I thank him a lot for teaching me how to get off bottoms. From day one,
it was not acceptable in our family.
Yeah. He never forced us into wrestling, but at the same time, he used to force us to. If we drug him down to the basement, he made sure we learned how to get off bottom. And at times, that wasn't necessarily very fun, but
Brett learned his lesson well. He ended up winning the semifinals of the Nationals with 9 seconds left. He had to get out.
He did. Later that year, 2-time Eastern champ Brandon Slay took Olympic gold at the Sydney Games. In 2002, American University joined the list of great institutions participating in this event. Home to 27 schools in its history, the EIWA now has 13 members